We also know it's the latest in a series of allegations. Is this a Conservative Party problem?
I mean, firstly, the situation and what's alleged is horrendous, but they are allegations. We don't know the ins and outs of it. And actually, is it a Conservative problem? I would say no. I think actually we've had two members of Labour's shadow cabinet face accusations at the moment. What we need to do, well, we've got the independent complaints and grievance scheme set up. We need to give the police everything they need to investigate these things, get to the root of the problem, and make fully, rather than us trial by media. Let's let the police do their job and let's get behind them.
Is it a sort of a situation there, but for the grace of God, that Labour MPs are not being involved in the latest series of allegations?
But I think there's a difference between talking about COVID investigations and which the leader and deputy leader, of course, we all know about that, but and sexual harassment investigations, which there are a lot, and I don't think there's anyone on our front bench that's been accused, but there are people on Labour sides that have been accused of sexual harassment in times gone by, and I'm sure that there are some being investigated now. I don't know the list. There clearly does need to be a process that once a serious allegation has been made, and it's credible, and there's been some initial investigation, that if there is an investigation, like this person's been charged, that there needs to be an arrangement for their vote to be handed over to someone else.
Hasn't been charged.
Yeah. But there needs to be, at that moment,
right,
a process when a threshold is met, whether it's a charge or whether it's that there is enough evidence. And I'm not saying I know what that threshold is, but there does need to be that, for their vote to be handed over to someone in a proxy way, like we do when people are pregnant and on maternity leave, so that their constituents aren't harmed, because it's not fair that their constituents don't get a vote in Parliament for that period. But that person clearly shouldn't be in Parliament, particularly if some of the allegations, which in a number of these cases took place on the parliamentary estate. There is a big problem with how we employ staff, how line management of staff happens. We're the only parliament in the world where MPs, well, not the only, we're one of very few parliaments in the world where MPs directly employ their staff rather than it being through a proper HR team. And those kinds of things need to be fixed because they're about changing the culture in Parliament. It's not one thing, because this is not just one person now, is it? There is a culture here that needs to be tackled with. And I'm pleased that the Speaker has said that he wants to look at this, but I do think it requires all sides to properly come together. You remember previously Angela Leadsom did some stuff on this. That's why we know that these complaints even exist, because she created a process for complaints. And this is the first batch of complaints to go through the system. Now we need to see how we improve that system, because it's the first run round.